have 4 commissioners. We would normally have 5. We still have a quorum to go forward, but I just wanted to make sure that everyone knew. In order to get an approval for a variance, it requires a total of 4 votes. So we leave it up to the decision to the applicants. It is your decision whether or not you would like to proceed tonight or whether or not you would like to continue until next month. Just know that if you proceed tonight, it's going to require 4 votes, a unanimous vote for you to get approved. It's entirely up to you if everyone decides that they still want to go forward, if you'd rather wait until we have a 5th commissioner. But we wanted to make sure that we left it up to you folks before we started. Does anyone want to continue until next month?
Question. So if you don't get the 4 votes, can you reapply for next month?
You could. You would have to get denied without, the commission would deny you without prejudice, and that would mean that you could apply the very next month. Well, it would actually not be, because today was the deadline for next month, it would be the following month. So it would be in December. It would be the first week of December.
Or they could roll the dice and see what happens tonight.
Everybody want to go forward? Anyone not want to go forward? Okay.
Okay. Today is October 3rd. The public hearing of the Stratford Zoning Board of Appeals will come to order. To hear those petitions advertised for this session. And for those of you who are not familiar with our process, each petitioner or their designated representative will present their case to the board. When they have concluded, board members will then have an opportunity to ask any questions they may have. I will then ask if there's anyone who wishes to speak in favor of this or in opposition to the petition. We will ask all petitioners to speak clearly, directly into the mic, and after all the petitions have been heard, we will recess our administrative session. Interested parties are welcome to stay. However, only board members and staff will be allowed to speak at this time. Please be advised that clapping, shouting, or any way expressing opinions on this applications is not tolerated. Please be advised to turn off your cell phones or put them on vibrate. And before we start, I'd like to have a moment of silence for the people who got, 59 people who got murdered and taken away from us in Las Vegas, and our hearts go out to the family and the friends and first responders and everybody out there. So can we have a quick moment of silence? Okay. Ms. Young, would you like to take petition number 1 off the table, please?
Petition number 1 off the table, 175 Grove Street. Petition of George Knapp seeking a waiver of the side setback to construct a second-story addition to a single-family dwelling in the RS-4 zone. Hardship house was built as a legal non-conforming lot.
Is the petitioner here? We'd like to step forward. Okay, please state your name, and do you have your mailers?
George Knapp, and I'm here about the first petition. As she stated, the house is built, it doesn't conform to today's standards, and for me to put an addition above the desired area and be able to hit all 4 bearing walls, it's not possible.
I'm getting close to you in case you have mailers you want to hand in, evidence of the mailing, the notices.
It's legit to wait till after this is over. Or we can't vote on it.
You want to go to the next application?
Yeah, why don't we go to the next application while you run down and get the mailers? Okay?
Very good.
So Hoyer, would you like to take petition number 2?
Yes, I will. Application number 2 is 165 Rockland Avenue, petition of Lynn and John Kraus, seeking a waiver of the maximum allowable building coverage to construct a rear covered porch and deck to a single-family dwelling in an RS-4 zone. Their hardship is a non-conforming lot size.
Petitioner, please step forward.
First test, do you have your mailers? All right, thank you.
Hi, Gail. How are you? Good, thanks.
Okay. I'm Lynn Kraus, and this is my husband, John. And we need a variance for lot coverage because we want to construct a screen porch to the back of the house. And we want that to include a proposed walkway, 2 steps for the back of the house. And one of the reasons that we're pursuing this addition is because my husband is a disabled veteran, and he has had to have a ramp constructed because he was in a wheelchair for a year and a half, and we had 2 episodes where he was in a wheelchair, and we needed to have access to the house, so we had a ramp constructed twice on the front of the house. And in doing that, we didn't have any access to the driveway because the ramp had to take up the entire driveway. So we were hoping by having this enclosed porch in the back and having the access with the stairs, that should he need that again and have to have a ramp constructed, that we could do it in the rear of the house and therefore leaving the driveway so we can park our cars. So that was another reason. And that was it.
Okay, any questions? Mr. Hoyer?
So you're going to expand the deck in order to be able to extend the stairway? Is that what it is, with a ramp? Is that what you're saying?
Well, it's
Is the ramp going to be where the,
we're not going to have a ramp unless he needs one. So we don't have any plans to put a ramp in.
Oh,
It's going to have stairs to exit the back of the house.
okay.
And, but should he need it in the future, that's why we wanted to have.
All right, so this is a
access from-
contingent thing that
Right.
possibly you're going to need it. Okay, all right.
Yeah, we don't want to do that again, but
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Ms. Young?
Mr. Kraus, just wanted to thank you for your service. And Mr. Urbanski, if I could ask you a couple of questions. In the staff report you provided us, did I read correctly, this is an undersized lot and that might be found as a reasonable hardship?
Yes.
And could you educate me about the Stratford zoning regulations as it relates to handicap access? Do we count ramps towards the coverage, or do we give an exception to that rule?
No, it's exception. We make an exception in terms of the setbacks as well as site coverage for ADA accessible ramps.
Good for us. But the enclosed porch, what's before us tonight, does not get the exception, hence their being here this evening.
Correct.
I have no other questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I have a question.
Sorry.
Should the petitioner put in a request for a ramp, would they have to seek a variance for that? Would they have to come back?
No, they would not need to come back, they would not need to come back for a coverage variance or a side setback or rear setback variance either.
Well, that's good to know.
I also want to say thank you, sir, for your service.
Thank you for your service. Okay. Would anybody like to speak in favor of this petition? Would anybody like to speak against the petition? Hearing none, motion to close. Mr. Hoyter, Mr. Tavalis? Okay. Paul, would you like to? We're all set. Thank you.
Thank you.
Petition number 3.
This is 10 Chevy Street, petition of Patrice Moe, seeking a waiver of the front setback to construct a covered front porch for a single-family dwelling in an RS4 zone. The hardship being current orientation of house on property does not leave enough room for proper weather cover at front door. Have need for 8-inch, need 20-inch.
Okay.
My name is Beatrice Mullis. I reside at 10 Chevy. I've been there for about 9 years. I'm the second owner. Constructed in 1947. The picture that I showed you or gave you has the awning.
Excuse me, do you have your mailers?
Thank you.
Okay,
I have no
proceed.
idea when the awning was put on. The whole house has awnings. Several of the neighbors have awnings on their front. I would like to replace that. It makes a hell of a racket in the wintertime when the wind is blowing. When the rain sheds, you walk up there, you're thinking you're getting under cover, but it's raining down on you off the front side of the awning. And when the snow melts, it nicely covers the front step that I just so freshly shoveled. I would like things to go the other direction. I would like to be able to reach out and get my mail without getting soaked. The orientation of the house, or the placement of the house, means that I have 8 inches before I encroach in setback. My builder tells me that he might be able to go 18 or 20 inches total without needing to put posts in. I definitely don't want to put posts in, and I'm definitely not constructing a porch. The porch is already there. I just want to change the cover.
Okay. Any questions? No? Mr. Whitey?
Yeah, just maybe Jake can give me a little clarity. So by extending the portico, but not by extending the footprint of the porch, that constitutes, so they take a vertical line from the end of the porch down, and that is where your setback point is?
Yeah, the setback is an invisible line that
Yeah.
just goes up.
Okay,
And, sometimes people ask for variances of 20 feet. Sometimes people have to ask for a variance of 1 inch.
yeah, okay. That's great.
Okay. Ms. Young?
As a follow-up question, Mr. Bansky, does the Stratford zoning regulations allow projections of incidental architectural features that do not have posts that would allow this to be done without a variance being needed?
No, unfortunately not. The only projections that we allow to encroach in the setbacks are attached garages.
Maybe something to revisit with the zoning commission in the future. No other questions?
Okay.
So the distinction is something that is attached to the house as opposed to something that projects from the house. Because the awning is attached to the house, but it is not part of the house. So that's the distinction.
What do you think?
I would find holes in that potential stance, but I think that there's a way that you can, as Commissioner Young had stated, that I think that there's a way to identify pretty common household projections such as an attachable awning that isn't actually tied in, well, that would be tied into the house, but awnings, covered porches, other architectural features like cornices,
Chimneys?
chimneys.
I'm definitely not putting a chimney in the front of it.
Okay, thank you very much. Would anybody like to speak in favor of this petition? Would anybody like to speak against it? Hearing none, motion to close. Ms. Young,
Second.
and second by Paul. Okay, Paul? Oh, no, we're not, petition number 4, Ms. Young.
Petition number 4, 115 Surrey Lane, petition of Peter, Mariconda? Close? Mariconda, thank you. Seeking a waiver of the side setback to construct an addition to a single-family dwelling in an RS-1 zone. Hardship, cannot construct accessible bathroom to rear of house due to existing basement egress and septic system. And it looks like you have mailers in your hand. I'm coming for you. Thank you.
First, I'd like to thank you all for your time to hear this application. I've served the Roosevelt Forest Commission as a vice chair for 14 years, and I know what it's like to give up your spare time to help out with town business, so I do appreciate your time. Regarding 115 Surrey Lane, the house was built by my parents. They had been living there. They are in their 90s. Unfortunately, the house was constructed without any type of master bath or any type of closet or dressing room for the master bedroom. It actually shares a hall bath. My parents now require special needs in order to bathe, to get dressed, to the point where I've had to move them out of the house and secure other living arrangements for them. My intention, what I'd like to do now, is to be able to renovate this house to where I can live with them and give them a master bath and dressing room to where they can have their assistants to come in, bathe them, get them dressed. I do not want to do an in-law setup. That's not the intention here. I just want to be able to add on to this, to the master bedroom, give it a master bath, because they do require assistants to come in, and it can't be done with the way the house is now. I've asked to come off to the side because, again, to the back, I have Bilco door, I have septic, I have ledge, and also, if you've seen the plans I've submitted, it does not really fit in with the character of the house to go off to the back. So that's why I'm asking for this consideration.
Okay. Any questions? Ms. Young?
Did I hear you introduce yourself as having previously served on this board?
No, on the Roosevelt Forest Commission, which I still serve.
Thank you.
I just wanted to thank you. Like I said, I know what it's like to give up your spare time to help out with town business, so I've been doing that for quite a while.
Thank you for your service as well.
You're welcome.
So in your hardship argument, you described the septic system is sort of in the way of alternative locations for your bathroom. I could not find the location of the septic system on your plan. I'm wondering if you can point it out if I show you your plan?
Sure.
Maybe you can do it on camera so others can see? Where you were standing. Yes.
Okay. It's right to there are two tanks in the back here of the house, and you can also see the Bilco door there, which is the open basement egress. Also, because of the type of house, it's a cape with a full shed dormer off the back. So to be able to construct something off the back, and I'm showing a family room here that would have a gable roof, so it could actually project out from there. With the end of the dormer right there, it's not really in fitting with the character of the house.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Hoydick?
Yeah, I have a question, and I maybe didn't hear your whole presentation, but on the side setback portion that you want to put in, are you going to open that existing exterior wall to go into that area?
Yes. There'll be, the plans I have now, again, I kind of just scrambled to be able to meet the deadline to make this meeting. The configuration of the bathroom isn't quite correct yet. It's showing a water closet, which is not going to happen.
Yeah,
But yes, there'll be a egress
well, the reason I'm asking is, you have more than enough lot area for your coverage of your addition in the house, but the problem with that one particular bump out is that there's really no, there's no way to grant something that there's really no hardship. You really don't have any, you have more than enough room on all sides of your house, but there's not a valid reason to extend into the setback area because you have so much room all around the house. You understand what I'm saying?
I absolutely understand.
So, I mean, there's no way you could just trim those 3 feet and get by with that?
Doesn't give me enough room. My mother is wheelchair bound. Needs assistance to bathe, to dress. I would love to tell you that I didn't need that.
Yeah. Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, Ms. Young.
Mr. Urbanski, sorry to bother you one more time. My understanding is that ADA requirements can be utilized as a hardship in lieu of the traditional hardship. And I've heard testimony this evening about the needs for access that this will provide. Do you have an opinion on what I'm referring to?
The town of Stratford currently or historically has never granted variances or considered it a hardship or a legal hardship. I understand that there is an actual hardship there, but to qualify as a legal hardship, our office has never interpreted an ADA or an extension of the home to be exempt from the waiver process.
I think what I'm referring to is case law, like the reduction in the degree of nonconformities. It's not an actual hardship, it's in substitution of hardship.
I haven't heard that, but it certainly might be there.
Not wanting to create precedent if there isn't any, perhaps this gentleman would like to tell us about the public safety concerns he has for alternate locations, and perhaps tell me if I'm wrong. Is this the best from a public safety perspective for your parents in terms of their access to gain entry to the bathroom, to put it where you're placing it?
Well, yes, it's adjacent or would be adjacent to the master bedroom, what serves as the master bedroom. The other bedrooms are on the second floor. That just wouldn't be feasible to get them upstairs to a bedroom up there. And in order to accommodate them, it still has to remain a first floor master, and I just don't have a master bath or a dressing area presently there to accommodate them.
So I heard Mr. Hibansky mention you need 4 affirmative votes to grant a variance tonight, so I wonder if Mr. Hoydick is any more persuaded than he was a moment ago with the additional testimony he's heard.
If we can justify, the hardship part of it, I don't have a problem with the application at all. If you can word it, if you want to make the motion to word it, that it would be acceptable, fine with me. It's fine with me, so. And I don't know how Mr. Ferris feels, so.
I've also spoken to each of the neighbors, and they're very happy to have my parents returning to the neighborhood and to see them still there. And I've brought my dad here tonight. He's having a good night, so he decided to come with me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Does anybody want to speak in favor of this petition? I'll come up and state your name, please.
Okay. My name is Dominic Mariconda, and I'm very fortunate to have a son who wants to take care of his aged father and mother who need medical attention, medical help. I'm very fortunate, and I'm very proud that I don't have to come to the city or the state for any help. I don't want that. My son has agreed to help me, and I wish that you would consider that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody like to speak against the petition? Okay, hearing none, motion to close. Mr. Hoydick, Ms. Young? Okay, yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're all
if you were
set.
done with me or not. All right, thank you again for your time.
when you say the other guy didn't come back, you want to give him 5 minutes?
He may went, maybe he.
Yeah, he might have went home.
Maybe he left and went home. What you certainly could do is, we could either continue the applicant to the next meeting and give them another opportunity to come back next month. We could proceed with our administrative session. If he's able to come back, we can temporarily close our administrative session, reopen the public hearing, hear him, close it, and then come back into our administrative session. And then, but if he doesn't show,
Do you happen to have any application information, like his cell phone number? Or if we took a 5-minute break, you could call him and say, are you coming back?
nobody ever gives out their cell phone number on these. Guaranteed. Let's see.
I believe there is a number here. I believe he did leave a,
Yeah, I'm
I don't know
probably on
whether it's
his,
a cell, but
Yeah,
You want to take a 5-minute?
Yeah.
Take a 5-minute recess?
yeah, that's good.
make a motion for a 5-minute recess.
No, no, I have to, I can't stay in one position
Okay.
too long. I have to move.
What time is it?
Notice they didn't wrangle Janice, usually when they need a fifth member,
They
suddenly
get Janice
Janice.
there.
Get rid of this.
You know, Dave DeCilio called me on
Guy going
Sunday,
for a couple more hours.
and he wanted.
Okay, now if we make a vote to continue and he comes back, can we just like waive the rules? Okay. Okay, petition number 1. Ms. Young.
Petition number 1, 175 Grove Street.
Mm-hmm. We're looking for a continuation.
Table it till.
I hear Mr. Hoyt wants to make a motion.
I will make the motion, 175 Grove Street petition of George Knapp seeking a waiver of the side setback to construct a second-story addition to a single-family dwelling in an RS4 zone. Hardship house was built as a legal non-conforming lot, and I will make the motion to postpone it till, and put it on next month's agenda.
Second.
Okay, do we have a second? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Mr. Hoyt, would you like to take number 2 off the table?
Closed session?
I'll do it. 165 Rockland Avenue, motion to take it off the table.
Okay, have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
Yeah,
Mr. Hoyt.
I will make a motion to approve the application, and I'm going to cite, in looking at the pictures of the front entryway now and the small existing awning, I'm going to cite safety as a hardship. I can imagine that these stairs in the winter could be hazardous. I think by extending the roof line and probably shedding,
Wait.
oh, I'm on the wrong one?
We're looking at the enclosed porch on 165
Oh,
Rockland.
here it is, here. Oh, 165, I'm sorry.
Number 2,
Well, you heard what I'm going to do for the next,
okay,
Ah, preview.
okay.
I'm sorry.
Number 2. 170,
So I'll make a motion. Motion to approve the hardship being non-conforming lot size.
okay, we have a motion to approve, do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Tavares, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
All right, now I can do shit.
Mr. Hoyt,
10 Chevy Street, petition for Beatrice Mall, seeking a waiver of the front setback to construct a covered front porch for a single-family dwelling. Hardship was, she stated, was a current orientation of the house and property does not leave enough room to properly weather cover the front door. I will make a motion to approve that, as I just stated, that
Yeah,
I believe that the altering of the roof line, which will shed the water from the porch and extend it
Mr.
out
Hoyt?
further, will...
Mr. Hoyt, you took it off the table, we needed a second. Yeah,
We didn't take off the table yet? Okay, I'm sorry.
okay.
All right.
Okay, make a motion, and we need a second.
I'll make a motion to take 165 Rockland Avenue off the table.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay? Now, proceed.
All right, one more time. I make a motion to approve,
Okay,
citing hardship as a safety issue for the things I just mentioned, so.
okay, we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
We're on 10 Chevy Street or 165 Rockland?
10 Chevy Street.
I misspoke before when I made my motion to take it off the table. Third time's the charm. Motion to take 10 Chevy Street off the table. I think Mr. Hoydick seconded.
Yeah.
Okay,
Paul, thank you. And Mr.
okay.
Hoydick, one more time, if you would. 10
Okay,
Chevy
one more
Street.
time. I make a motion to approve this application.
Excellent.
Okay,
I second.
okay.
Okay.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 4-0. Okay. Paul, would you like to take number 4?
So if anyone's keeping track, we've approved 165 Rockland Avenue. We just approved 10 Chevy Street.
Right. Okay. Number 4.
Paul?
There's a motion to take it off the table.
I'll make a motion to take 115 Surrey Lane off.
Second,
Second.
Mr. Hoyt. Okay. Any discussion?
Discussion, again, for me is, we heard public safety, which is a hardship that's traditionally recognized by the town of Stratford. Maybe my radical ADA access, which I recognize in my day job as being a substitution for traditional hardship as a secondary hardship. So for the reasons of public safety, I make a motion to approve 115 Surrey Lane.
Okay, we have a
Second.
motion to approve, second by
Second.
by Paul. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
4-0. Okay, now,
115 Surrey, you've been approved.
right? And we go back to 175. Okay, okay. I need a motion. I need a motion to open up the public hearing and a motion to reconsider petition number 1. Okay, so first motion, Mr. Hoydick, second.
A second.
Miss, okay.
A second.
Paul, second motion. To reconsider
Yes, make a motion to reconsider.
by Paul
175 Grove.
and by Mary. Okay.
Welcome back. Do you have your mailers?
Did you have,
Mr. Urbanski was calling you. Is he coming back?
Yeah, you'll have a few missed calls on whatever number you had on your application.
Turn my ringer on. In here. So did I explain everything?
yes, proceed.
Okay, so it's, I'm unable to build above my garage where it was originally built, because all 4 bearing walls are, or the left side bearing wall is in the setback. So I need a variance to be able to build above my garage because of the way the house was originally built.
Okay. Is that it? Any questions? Ms. Young?
So I'm always learning when I come to these meetings. So Mr. Urbanski, here's another piece of Westport, or rather Stratford trivia I need you to help me with. The gentleman indicated that the sort of existing condition is what's driving the need for the variance, as the house is currently in the setbacks. His tax card suggests the approximate year built was 1952. When did zoning land in Stratford
When did zoning,
come to Stratford, and when was it enacted?
well,
You know?
there are zoning maps that date back to the, I believe it's the mid-30s, which is quite progressive for any town to have zoning ordinances back that far. But we do have zoning maps that are back that early, so.
And the zoning regulations were adopted when, do you know?
I believe they were adopted in the very early 50s.
So conceivably, the house was constructed before zoning regulations identified the setback requirements that we enjoy today?
Certainly possible.
So one could argue that the existing conditions predated zoning, and therefore any additions to it would by default also need a variance? I have no other questions. Thank you.
Okay,
I have a question.
Mr. Vargas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's for Jay. This memo with your name on it from Ms. Batoa's, do I take that she's from inland wetlands, and she has no problems with?
No, she had no problem with the wetlands to the rear of the far rear of the property.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Would anybody like to speak in favor of this petition? Would anybody like to speak against it? Hearing none, a motion to close?
Second.
Okay. Mary and Paul? Okay. Now we need a motion to close the public hearing again.
Close the public hearing.
Ms. Young and Paul? Okay,
Motion to take 175 Grove Street off the table.
go ahead.
Second.
I'll make a motion to grant the application, the hardshiping, the pre-existing condition that the house predated the zoning regulations.
Okay. Any more questions? Any more discussion? Mr. Hoyter?
Second.
Oh, okay, we got a motion to approve. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Everybody wins tonight.
You rolled the dice and you won.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay. Thank you. Yes. Okay.
Are you looking for a motion to approve the minutes of
Yes,
September
we
5th?
are.
I'll make
Wait
that
for him to-
motion.
Motion to approve the minutes by Ms. Young.
Second.
Paul, all in favor?
Aye.
Campsite, do we have any business on that?
No.
Okay, moving right along. Members' concerns, their comments? Ms. Young.
If I may, I noticed that our minutes now have the resolutions attached to them, for which I think I had requested, and I'm grateful, and I wanted to say thank you. I noticed in reading some of these decisions for the first time, it identifies the action of the board, saying approved or denied, but unlike the minutes, the decisions don't identify who was voting or how many people, was it 3, 4, 5? Tell me if it's within your purview. Could future decisions record who voted and how?
If you folks decide to do a roll call every vote, we could certainly do that.
I would be a fan of that so that we can document for posterity, should there be a legal record, that you had 4 affirmative votes and who was doing the voting.
And if you do a roll call vote, then we could track it in the minutes. Would you still want to duplicate it in the approval letters?
Well, the approval
Or you
letters,
just want it in the,
you will have it in the minutes. That's why I'm saying it doesn't transfer into the decision letter, and I'd like to see it in the decision letter.
it says who voted in the minutes? We usually don't.
That one doesn't, unless there's one person that votes in opposition, I'll usually name that person. That's all. Usually if it's unanimous, they'll just say it's unanimous.
I'll defer to the person who takes the minutes. She knows better than I what they say.
I mean, if it wasn't unanimous, then whoever voted in opposition, I would put.
I would think there to be merit, but I'll wait to hear how others feel. Anyone?
Well, I'm looking in the minutes here, and I see from last month, 21 Barrel Street, Petition 3. On the very bottom, so the motion carried 4-1 with your name is in opposition. So is that pretty much what you were alluding to? You want to see more consistency with that?
No, I'm great with the minutes. I'm talking about the decision letters themselves. It
Oh,
just
okay.
gives you the conclusion, and it was granted or it was denied without spelling out who voted how. And I think there's value in that. But to Mr. Urbanski's point, we may need to be more specific so that the person taking the minutes can be sure of who voted how, so that can be translated into the minutes. For someone who creates legal records all the time, I find that valuable. So if there ever is a legal record, we can know who did what and who was on what side if there was a split in the vote somehow.
Are you making a motion for that?
I don't know that I need to make a motion. I think we're just having a discussion, and I seem to be one member among 4, so I'm not the majority. So we need to see if any other people feel similarly to what I feel.
I mean, if it's no big issue with staff, it's fine with me. It's another piece of information that we get, that we can file. So As long as it's okay with staff, I don't have a problem.
I have a question. Do you put the voting record on all the approval letters?
We do.
Really? I've never heard that before. I'm not opposed to it. It's another thing to do, and it's another thing that you folks have to make sure that you're doing a roll call vote every time, because it's very difficult for me to make determining who's saying yes and no. So,
Do you think you might want to, I'm sorry.
It's a combination of efforts, I agree with you. You can only record what we tell you, and we have to be specific in raising our hands or voicing our... So,
Should we wait until we have 5 and
I was just going to
revisit that?
We should wait for Dave.
I mean, I love information, so, and I love detail, so I don't have a problem, but maybe, when we have full complement, maybe we can,
Yeah, that's a good idea.
and then, Jay, maybe you can think about it more of how difficult it would be. If it's, too difficult, I don't think any of us want to overburden staff.
no, I don't think
absolutely.
I don't think it's too difficult. I'm just trying to think of just off the top of my head, because occasionally I will have to go back and look to see who voted for what to make sure if there was a discrepancy. And at that point, I would go back to the tapes and look.
I'm sure if
Or
there was an
the tapes,
appeal.
but the tapes aren't always clear. And then I would go to the minutes, and if the minutes weren't clear, then I'm just,
Be a
okay,
backup.
we said we're 4-0, that's what I have marked down on my piece of paper. I don't know who voted for what. So it's entirely up to you folks. It's not going to be a heavy lift. It's just another thing on the letter. So if you folks feel that that's valuable, I wouldn't mind doing it.
Or we table this discussion until next time, assuming we have 5 next time. But thank you for your
only right.
consideration.
Okay. Other items?
Not for me.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, guys.